Alrighty, y'all, what's going on? So I'm gonna keep my phone around because it's a quite useful type of tool for whatever it is that I got going on. Okay, so welcome, hello, welcome, all my ladies. How are you doing? This is series two, books that built me and Tasia Stripper more. And this version is more so about rating and reflection as an addition. Okay, so welcome to Books That Built Me, the series where every episode is a personal testimony. I am Tasia Stripper more. Hi, glad you are here. All right, mindset and style coach. And in this season, I'm sharing the books that truly changed my life. Okay. These aren't just reviews. Everybody always want to give a review, but they're actually reflections. And I'll tell you what worked, what did not, and how I actually used it and how I rate it for real life. Oh, yeah, we're going to do that. So let's turn pages into corners. So, y'all ready? Is y'all doing it too? Okay, good. All right, so we're going into now into episode. You know me, I like to double check still. All right, episode 8, and thought shapes identity for sure. And this is for As a Man Thinketh. Oh my God, As a Man Thinketh is such a gem because, I mean, literally, this book I have probably read thousands, I mean, so often actually. It's just so many times I've got so many gems from this book. And originally speaking, I probably had this book for years, like 10, 20, 15, 20 years or something like that. I had it for a very long amount of time now. And I've always enjoyed it. If anybody doesn't know the author, actually, I know this author verbatim by heart. This is James Allen. And I originally got this book, I want to say probably, I don't know, 2012, 13, 14, somewhere around there. And I almost want to say even in Florida. Um, but so when it comes to studying this particular book and how the shift in mindset, I mean, for myself, when I really comb through this book, there's always certain gems and nuggets. So the first one is always things like, uh, things that must have a remedy. Like we stubbornly cling to things to the point where it retards our efforts and thus cause a lot for a remedy. You know what I mean? That might be in the chapter on dealing with your character. And that's not easy for everybody to do. We constantly want to not come across as the leader. Like, and I'm guessing it's because of fear. And again, you're right then. If you're thinking that way in your heart, I'm not about to take the time out of my day to continuously point you in the right direction. If you stubbornly are clinging to the misdirection, you're going to go ahead on and learn how to reap what comes from that as a consequence. And that's ultimately all that I can do and maintain my own peace, which is priceless and worth much more than going back and forth with you when all you want to do is necessarily, so to speak, cause drama. That's not something that I'm looking forward to, and that's not what I do as a young lady. And that's not where I see myself 10 years from now, is going back and forth with anybody. And or any one person, human being, fellow driver, commuter, pusher on whatever public transit, any professor, teacher, aunt, uncle, cousin, neighbor. Like, I'm all about my peace. Me, I just want peace. As for my household and where we at, that's all that I'm looking to entertain at this particular point in time. So that's definitely a very more stricter type of shift in your mindset, because ultimately you're gonna kind of sort of realize, like, wow, you really stubborn for real. Like, you really retarded. And sometimes I'll get really extreme. I'm like, you just retarding all your efforts. Like, that's where I'll go when I'm kind of sort of like fed up, before I'm like really not in the mood for no more everybody else's drama that they got going on. Then I definitely don't have no problems with resorting and reverting back to what it is that I already know, because you can never go wrong. There's no way to fail with the things that you know. As the sage says, stick to what you know. That's just as a precautionary Terry for your sake as a tale, not theirs. Okay. And then last but not least, for So I'm gonna read this a little bit for a second here too. 'Cause actually, I like these, so I am going to take a few seconds just to go ahead on and do it. So your outer world follows your inner thoughts. And this is so real. So, and I'm going to tell you how. Because I know people are going to be like, you just get fast points. And I just learned it within the last 24 hours on Mind You. So to you pointers, point that. Okay. And so, anyway, as I was saying, I'm so rudely interrupted. But what you'll do is kind of sort of reflect. So you have your journals, you take out some time, your time to journal or really resonate what's been taking place within your own world in your own journal. And when you get to those points, you'll see certain connections. And when you are looking through them, as not well, so first off, you got to even really take that time out. Like Kevin Hart says it so perfectly. You have to seriously say that's how you ended up being loads ahead of everybody else because no one's gonna take the time out to actually go through everything that's actually taking place. Most of us are just going to hold it in, bottle up, and keep pushing on throughout. We're not even going to take the time out to even go through those things. And Napoleon Hill, which I know we've already touched on Napoleon Hill, as y'all know in Books That Built Me, but he's always so into that type of moment. You go back and just check out everything else and just like, oh wow, we've come so far. Period. That's just what you do. That's just what time it is. That's just how it goes. That's what goes around in those circles. And until you do those things, you can remain on that same hamster wheel. Period. And so when you are not really focusing on that and you're really wanting to heal and figure out what your thoughts are, who the woman looks like, then you in your journal. And as you thinking on the inside, it does actually eventually did just that, reflect outwardly. So, but again, that takes a form of paying attention. And as long as you make that conscious choice to do that, you a-okay. Chef's kiss. And so that's why I like to go through these because they're very interesting. As a Man Thinketh reminds us that confidence is crafted in the mind before it's worn on the body. And it is. You really realize that people who struggle with authentically glowing, it's some kind of mindset problem. And that's why I always resort back and revert to this particular idea with James Allen when it comes to dealing with as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he or she. You stubbornly cling to negative thoughts and thinking patterns, knowing that you shouldn't be and that you should be pursuing something more constructive and positive, but because you didn't, even though you knew that you should have, that is where the retarding thoughts begin to manifest. You repeatedly, stubbornly refuse to acknowledge that you're doing something that is going against your authentic glow. And that's why you struggle and have so many problems with authentically glowing and allowing your inner glow and your inner radiance to illuminate your presence whenever somebody is happen to have seen that that's where you are. And instead of allowing that to transpire, you retard. And which is totally, kind of bizarre. It's not something that is worth encouraging because it's just simply not. It's just derogatory. And so the mindset that we want to go to is intentional thinking, which also equates to intentional image, for sure, for sure. And another one that really stands out is, which is so like and it's weird because I was just saying it's about impatience, but and it's not that people are impatient to have their circumstances change. Because myself, I know that I can wait years. I can hold a dream or thought in mind for years, and then by the time it finally manifests, it's definitely not about impatiently figuring it out, but more so about steadfastly each day and each year chipping away at its manifestation. And that's off because if you do go too fast, you are going to mar and make your image imperfect, and you're necessarily doing those things out of impatience. And then you have moments where people kind of sort of don't feel like they understand you or your problems or your issues or whatever else is going on taking place with you. And you're like, well, first off, I'm being as real and as authentic as possible, and you're just not listening, but it's always me. I give you a perfect example. I was having some work kind of thoughts coming out, and I had voiced them, I'm sure, in some kind of way, some kind of opinion that was my own. And again, it was more so less about being heard and more so about, yeah, well, it's you. And so when that happened, you just got to listen and pay attention to that, because that's also a really great skill builder. That people are going to try to play you. And that's just what some people are put here for to do, is to test you. And how you handle that is going to say quite a bit about both parties that are involved. And once you have that understanding there, it becomes easier to just walk off and just ignore all haters. So as they say, shout out and big ups to all my haters. Like, that's not something that's strifeful. They're really speaking from a genuine, authentic, glowing place. And so you have to really be mindful and take heed of some of those things. And you have moments here where you're like, if you are not really trying to necessarily pay attention to what's going on and taking place. For an example, let's say one of the ones that I also like from this particular book is, so you know what, let's rehash. So we did the stubbornly retard, we did the one about impatience, and then the next one is going to probably be something that I want to deal with when it comes to dealing with either how, um, maybe this is two. So justice is the law. Okay, it never can be injustice. And then the other one is more so about the universe and weakness, how it will not tolerate weakness, because the universe is so powerful that it just simply can't exist here. And that's one of the other issues that I've kind of sort of noticed when it comes to dealing with other thoughts and thinking patterns, for sure. So the shift in mindset is definitely more so less outer, but inner. And then you come to find that out. And then the style connection that deals with this as well is kind of sort of similar as well, because now I consider books as accessories. So having someone notice that this is your accessory is going to immediately separate the crowd the pack. They're going to immediately kind of sort of just weave their way around that appropriately, and things are going to fall into proper places, and they're going to know if that's something that we're not on, then most likely you will see that kind of disappear and go, and you can witness that the transformation is taking place, because it's so eye catch. It's so like a pop to the eye. It's almost like, oh wow, okay, this is what they read. Okay, let's just back up for a second, because this is something that we don't see this every day. And that's why, because people don't even read. I didn't even realize, I was thinking about this the other day, that actually books may be considered a luxury. It may be considered something that's only done by an elite class, or, which I hate that word, because elites always reminds me of the Israelites. It's a freaking place of people. People, like, it has nothing to do with that, but we warped it and made it that way. And it's more so just that people assume that books are only afforded and is only a luxury and pastime by people who are considered a rich entity, and that's just not the case. And sometimes we will not allow ourselves to experience these things, because that's just what we think that it is. Oh, it's only for rich people. Books are not for what it is that I want to do. And, it's never going to be anything that I can do, because I'm just way too this or whatever else. But that's really just a mindset game. Like I said, you can always check out eBay. They have really cheap books there. You can always go and do your libraries, ask your friends and family members, especially the ones that are readers. They probably got some really good ones. I know my family members love to ask me about books, and I have no issues. Now I have a book collection I can easily go to, like, here, take this one, you got this one. But now at this point in time, I am underneath that understanding. So you really have to have patience. And then let's go to the very last one, because we're getting ready to wrap up, run out of time here as well. So style prompt: dress for the thoughts you want to amplify. Yeah, definitely do that. I mean, for real. I was just thinking about this earlier too. I was getting ready to buy my first pair of House of CB trouser pants, and they were like 195, so they were $200. And I was like, okay, well, why couldn't nobody else bring me out? And it was just a very simple question that I decided was worth some pondering, a bit of some thought. And what I realized was that, because everybody wants you to have no pants. I was simply say, even though everybody here there couldn't fit them, or everybody, may not have the withdrawal to take the time out to make them fit to whatever they were. Maybe you were short or tall. And I wanted those pants as a symbol of success. And I decided to do that and buy those things. But everybody couldn't ring me out. Everybody couldn't handle it. And I realized now that everybody is not skilled in a retail environment. Everybody, like, I've been in retail since I've been about at least 15 years old. And it's normally in fashion, in clothing retail. And that's normally why I always love fashion. Like, I just love that type of idea. And that's just what I've always embodied and chose to pursue as a career. And that's just how I am. I'm not music, not as a spinoff from music, but just real live or fashion retailer. I just love the artistic space behind that particular expression, with making those type of thoughts known, and being able to do so even behind whatever it is, even clothing. And so that was a big part of, because I mean, people are quick to downplay your symbols of success as like just following what the trend is. This year's trends, symbol for success that was trending most is houses, or the other one that I like is clothing or rings or jewelry, whatever I say it is, basically. And okay, I'm gonna end this now because actually I hear my daughter and I am trying to keep an eye out for anything that's going on. So thanks for joining me, okay, on this journey through the books that built me. And if this episode sparked something for you or reminded you of your own growth, share it, rate it, and keep reading with intention. And I definitely will rate this book always a 5 out of 5. This is such a great mind shifting. And I hope you all had to shift. We had the style connection as well. And then I did not give you all the client takeaway. So the client takeaway is to watch how you think about yourself, because either way, you're right. And you got your style prompt. So I'm definitely going to leave it alone at that. And so, again, reminding you of your own growth, then share it, rate it, and then make sure that you keep reading with intention, ladies, because today's actually word for our intent for our day is intentionality. So I'll be back next week with another story, another shift, and another book that helped shape the woman I am today. So until next time, stay becoming, stay glowing, and stay grounded as well. And if you want to reach out and connect, you can visit me at www.payhip.com/authentic glow coaching.